Expected to make it. So
Logical Raptors fanatic.
shoot trying to miss. Like every shot
Logical Raptors fanatic.
try to make it. So I was gonna act surprised.
A fun guy. Obviously
Logical Raptors fanatic.
love the game of basketball. I mean, it's just more questions you have to ask me in order for me to tell you about.
Logical Raptors fanatic.
I just can't give you a whole spiel. I don't even know where you're sitting at.
You know, no
Project Truth.
has contacted me, and I see all the stuff that, like, you guys see. I dream like they dream. Yeah. Yeah, I want,
Logical Raptors fanatic.
you know. Yeah, so they keep dreaming. I dream too.
Salute, real ones. Mike G back here with Logical Raptors fanatic. I think we have an interesting, kind of really interesting one today, where it's a mix of trading stuff and mentor stuff and looking through stats trends a bit. So Thad's a really interesting subject. Let's dive deeper. Enjoy.
Well, you're coming to Toronto, man. You're ours. He told you. Okay, well, we're excited, man. Finally happened after all these years, man. Finally. I can tell you one thing, you know, like we're gonna compete with all those teams, and we have guys that are excited to have you, excited to have a player like you. We need leadership, you know, like Fred is our leader, Fred and Pascal, but having a guy like you is gonna really, like, I think, lift these guys up in many ways. So I'm looking for positivity, play, everything that you can bring us, man. Try to get you to.
Obviously, interestingly said there, Fred Van Vliet was named as the leader, and then Fred and Pascal was named as co-leaders, and Thad was coming in to bring that leadership, and Masai's wanted him for years. So I think that's an interesting concept and point to this video where we're gonna look through Thaddeus's years, glance over at the stats a bit, and then talk about his kind of leaving each situation and what kind of experience he happened to have there, and tie it back to maybe helping certain guys get through certain periods in their career on our team currently, and tie everything back, skills, different mentoring experiences that can be help to shape other things, and the opportunities Masai had to get him. So I think that's going to be an interesting kind of little slice in each kind of slide here, where I have kind of his transaction history, and we're going to talk about maybe the team at that time, like the Raptors team at that time, and what we could have done to get him, and maybe the options that were on the table of having him earlier in our system, and seeing how that could have maybe changed a couple things. So there's a lot of interesting different stuff in this one, but I think I want to start off with really hammering down what the Raptors kind of know about Thad, and a lot of the different stuff that is what they look at throughout time, because they've been watching Thad for a while. So let's hear Bobby describe what he sees Thad.
People have been tracking Thad for a long time. I believe he was a high school All-American, so he's kind of been on people's radars. I think, we feel like he's one of our type of players. He's tough, he's athletic, he's disruptive on defense. He knows his role on the offensive end as well. At this point in his career, he wants to, be part of a winning program. and I think we can provide that for him.
What Bobby thinks of him, and they were tracking him All-American earlier than that, right? But let's start off with the draft, I guess, with he was drafted 12th by Philly in 2007, which was the Kevin Durant, Al Horford, Greg Oden draft, right? So kind of a bit early. And let me lay the blueprint of what their team looked like at that point. So on his team, he had Reggie Evans, Willie Green, the coach for the Pels now, which is an excellent coach and obviously clearly a solid mentor kind of guy. Andre Iguodala, solid kind of mentor, interesting kind of guy himself, right? Kyle Korver's in there, Andre Miller. We got a young Lou Will second year, and we have rookie Thaddeus Young. So it's an interesting kind of roster at that point. We can kind of tell by the level of talent where this kind of is heading, but let's let's understand that sometimes it's about growing, and maybe they were trying to develop a lot of these different guys because they were at their young points in their careers still in '07, '08 in a sense of just coming into the league, so they're looking to develop a bunch of guys still. And we're going to take a look at what Thad kind of rounded out to in a sense. So let's start with '07, '08. I'm not going to go over every stat in the table here because I don't think all of them kind of apply at this second. So let's map out the trends and different improvements and different skills, but let's keep it kind of short and nice, right? So age 19, so really young coming into the league. He's not like the guys that we're drafting at 22. Look how much more experience that is, right? So okay, so games played 74. So solid, a lot of minutes, obviously a clear like role on the big club. 22 games started, a lot of starting time, 21 minutes played, decent amount, not what our rookies play, but he was a higher pick, so we did play Scotty more. So let's continue on. And okay, not many attempts in his year. Obviously, he was probably on the floor for his defense and what kind of Bobby was saying a bit, where he knows when it's his time to shoot and stuff. So he kind of came in as that role, right? And that's probably what they were trying to look at for at first, right? So no three balls, um, two pointers. Okay, decent for the ones he was getting, probably cutters and transition stuff, right? Free throws. For a rookie to get some, it's okay. All right, all right. And he shot at an okay clip. Okay, okay. Total rebounds, okay, decent for a small forward kind of type of style. Obviously, he's not the built up guy he is now. We have to keep in mind that he is still 19 and has the younger man kind of body type, and it still has his athleticism, and he's a completely different player than what you see today on the Raptors. But there are shades, and like I said, the wave of time hits the house, but the foundation stays stable. So let's look at more about his foundation here. So obviously came in uh '08 assists. Okay, okay. Right, right, right. So like there's still something there. Something there. Something there. It's nothing yet, but we'll track it, right? We'll track it. Steals 1-0. Okay, his defense is showing a bit. Okay, okay. Not a main turnover guy, but okay, that's higher than his assists. So that's a little bit of an inkling, but not enough a sample size to really go off of, right? He's not passing the ball enough to really see those numbers kind of play out in bigger kind of margins to know whether he's great or not, right? At a smaller sample size, it's hard to tell because there is no real work to judge, right? So personal fouls 1.7, typical for a defending rookie, decent. Probably I would expect them to be higher on a rookie, so that's not bad. 20 minutes, okay, yeah, yeah. Probably not the craziest defensive assignments yet, because he can still be IQ'd at a 29-year-old kid, right? So 8.2 points, decent, okay. But he was in a winning team, so this is where first year rookie playoffs really helps a guy. Like he got those Scotty minutes this year where he was a rookie. Scotty's like a year older than he was when Thad started, but let's continue on. Games, 6 games, so not many, but started the games, right? Upped his minutes, upped his attempts. Uh, Not the best clip, but let's go through it. Oh, three ball, not a, no, yeah, 5.11. Okay, okay. So they're guarding the post. They know there's tape from him in the season, so they know that what he's good at, right? So they're going to key in on those aspects in the playoffs if he's starting and playing a big role for Philly. No matter what role you play, there's going to be tape, and people are going to find what's your best skills and still attack them, even if you're playing a different role. So I think playing multiple roles does give you an advantage of not knowing how to expect you to come play. So I think building that chest up is really key, and hence the thumbnail, the Swiss Army knife. But Thad's gonna develop many tools, and we're gonna see. He has a really interesting kind of career statistically. So let's continue on. Free throws upped, so he's like a winner when it's winning time. He wins, right? Okay, so like that's kind of showing through a bit here. So obviously we need to understand in hindsight it's easier to know that he's he's kind of a decent great kind of winning type of vet, but earlier on you're judging based off potential, right? So let's continue on. And 4.5 rebounds, upped his rebounds a little bit. Nice. Okay, okay. Assists down a little bit. Obviously the passing lanes are more cut off, people are giving more energy chasing down different things. He's doing the same though too, so his steals are up, right? Turnovers under, but he wasn't playmaking as much, so it's even, so decent. So at least he knows appropriate timing to do things, right? I think that's one thing that Bobby said. He knows when it's his time to do things, kind of shoot, and that kind of portrays out to passing and other different things that he does, right? So 1.2 personal fouls, pretty decent for the playoffs, playing good clean D, right? 10.2 points. So decent for a rookie, right? So let's go on into his next year right here, the 208-209 season. All right, so it's interesting like how his three ball was kind of not there. So he's realized in the playoffs he's going to need that. They're going to cue in on his post position and not let him kind of make his moves in the post. So he needs to have another tool in the tool chest to get more openings in the post. So let's see how he goes into his second season with that knowledge from the playoffs, which is the only true test in the league in a sense, right? So let's continue on. All right, 71 games started, so up more, so he started pretty much all the games. So they're looking at him as a starter now. So they liked what they saw in the playoffs. So 34 minutes, okay. The temps, yep, way up, way up. So half more. Looking okay, okay for jacking up volume. That's decent still, right? And oh, three ball. Okay, whoa, hey, now, okay, this is what we're trying to look for. Okay, nice, great second year three ball. 2.2 clip, so they need to respect it at least, right? It's something's coming up there, right? So his 2 point obviously more volume, probably more midi range, and trying different things. He has a more of a green light now after he performed well in his rookie year, right? So stats are down a bit though. They're adjusting against his strengths, and that's what happens when there's tape on you in the league. Other coaches look to key in on your strengths with their best assets, their defenders, if you're a main option. So lower it down on the food chain, you get to develop your skills against an appropriate competitor, almost like boxing, where they kind of start him off against a guy his own size in a sense of experience and kind of IQ, and let him develop that way by facing appropriate leveled opponents, right? I think when you kind of thrust a 20-year-old into a starting position in the NBA with not that NBA body or the skills to kind of be able to play that kind of level ball, you kind of hamper them in a sense of the things they learn and the things they need to learn correctly, right? It's about rising up with the similar opponents, but then you can also want to skip grades, right? Scotty skipped a bunch of grades becoming a starter, like he skipped 5 grades because of his advanced kind of development, right? So I think it's ultimately about you want to try to get guys to get up to the next grade almost, the more advanced curriculum, like we've been saying, right? So 5.24 estimated. All right, down a bit, yeah. Free throws stabilized, okay. Total rebounds up, decent ratio, right? Offense rebounding, defensive rebounding seems solid. Assists up, okay. 1.1 assists, okay. Steals up, okay, nice. Blocks up, okay, nice. Turnovers, uh-oh. Assists not enough, but turnovers, wow, up more. So that's kind of an issue, right? We always want to see a plus difference from assist to turnover ratio, but maybe they're asking him to like drive more and do a lot of different extra things, like expanding his role, right? It's second year. They want to see if they can kind of develop him out into a more different player than the one they see right now, or they want to just develop out what they see, right? So turnovers, okay, yeah, that's not a good sign so far. 2.2 personal fouls, okay. Maybe they're asking him to play more D. He's spending logging a lot more minutes, probably on more starter level defenders, right? So you got to expect some kind of foul uppage. But for a second year guy against experienced starters, that's not bad, to be honest, right? So like his defense is showing through. He's able to still convert steals, get a couple blocks right, and not foul as much. I think that's where you want to see those kind of stats where a consistent defender lies, right? So 15.3 points is decent, but that's a lot of minutes though. So let's see how it translates to the second year playoffs. So 6 games again, so they lost in the first round, 38 minutes. See, that's the more the clip of an appropriate kind of playoff starter where they're playing almost 40 minutes a game. So I think running our guys at that kind of minute set during the season kind of prepares them for playoff basketball. All of the stuff that we do, even besides said, the minutes are engineered in a specific way. Early in the season, they're engineered a specific way, and going closer to the playoffs, they're engineered a specific way. And the starters' minutes are engineered in a very specific way based on winning a championship, playoffs. Getting better at playoffs is the only real test, the real gauntlet, right? And that's where you could see your failures, and then you have to come back next year and work on them. And you need to actually be better to have better results. You can't just expect things to fall into place. You need to go out, work on the skills that didn't allow you to win last time and continue that process every year, making the playoffs, testing yourself, working on the skills. And I think that's really important for the way Masai wants to develop, where playoffs is the true exam at the end of the year. Then we find out what's really up with our team, right? So up this free or field goals from last year. Okay, but down. Okay, ooh, let's see what happened here. 3 ball. Okay, so now yeah, see, we saw the difference. He needed a 3 ball. He has a 3 ball now. Looks pretty solid, right? So they're daring him to shoot. He's making them, right? So they're guarding him a little bit heavier in the paint, right? Because now he's probably a main focal starter where he's getting shots. He's getting 11 shots, which is a decent amount, right? 15, 16 would probably be average for a high level offensive starter in a sense, right? So, oh, all right. Things are kind of okay, okay. So free throws, not getting enough calls, right? That's an issue, I think. If you want to see a guy driving and his type of forward style in the post, you want to see that they're needing to foul him to stop him because developed and good at that point, but I think body size obviously inhibited his ability to really get calls and do different things, right? So offensive, okay, same, but down from the year. Okay, that's a troubling. See, he's getting bodied now a little bit more. They're putting physicality on his young body, right? So assists, okay, up from the year, right? Steals, down a bit from last year, but blocks up 0.2, so they're asking him to guard to the post more, maybe less perimeter. And he's versatile enough to do that. He's like the OG versatile guy in a sense of he's always been trying to round out his game more and more and more and more and have more in his chest. But he is also able to play a lot of different positions on the IQ level of knowing what each position has to do, which actually makes him a brilliant scout in a sense. Like some of the clips that I was diving in through this deep dive, he was talking about nurturing the next level generation of students, and he has a real passion for it. And I could see why Masai's really wanted him from a mentor side. But let's continue down the skills and see what kind of trials and tribulations he went through in his career that he could then give the roadmap of like, oh yeah, this is what happens when you do this, or this is what happens when you do that, Scotty, and this is how you have to do it if you really want to make it. Because I know I've gone through it myself, high pick, and I've also worked with other high picks as a mentor and stuff, right? You're going to see later in his mentor years, he mentors a couple of interesting prospects, but we'll continue on, right? Turnovers, uh, same as the assists. So at least like in the playoffs, he's holding weight and not being as daring and experimental in the regular season, right? So personal foul, oh, that's up. So the body size, they're putting more body. He's needing to foul to kind of stay in position. They're bodying him a lot, and his points are showing quite a bit. I think energy exertion for a 20-year-old to battle men on the starting lineup for 40 minutes a game is an unreasonable demand in the sense of who he was as a player, skill wise. Like he wasn't a number one pick. He wasn't capable of doing this kind of stuff. And I think this was the year that Philly kind of judged him and maybe kind of started to look at different options with him. And it's really troubling that this is what normal franchises do. They try him out for a couple of years. If they don't work, then they're on to like a next plan. But I think obviously you could see from the type of team they had, it wasn't really like he wasn't an extra piece. He was just one of the other pieces that in the same kind of boat, right? So let's continue on to his third year. All right, third year, 21-year-old, so still quite young in his third year. So he's getting a lot of young NBA experience, which obviously adds to his 15-year, 16-year legacy, but we'll continue, right? So, like we said, that was the year he kind of was judged in his second year. So now you could start to see his position scaling back, right? So less games started, less minutes, similar attempts, but that means maybe like they're starting to come off him a bit, right? So three-pointer, okay, decent, improving a little bit, but still the same, right? Two-pointers got worse, right? So I think see, this is where it's happening. The true, I think, and then the bad kind of mojo mixes in, and things start to get iffy. And look, his three balls kind of coming down a bit too. So they're like, okay, maybe we're this guy's not who we thought he was, right? And that was probably unrealistic to ask a 20-year-old at that time. If they waited, he might have become more like what they wanted, but who knows, right? We'll continue on what Philly was thinking anyways, right? So 5.2 total rebounds upped from last year. So he's continuing, so he's coming into his man body. You're going to start to see these stats kind of really beef up a little bit more. 104 assists, 1.2 steals, 102 blocks, turnovers high. Wow, okay, so he's being adventurous again in the regular season, right? So personal fouls 2-0. So the defense is still continuing to show through, right? Points down. So they're gonna start to look to get off him probably. He did make it to the playoffs, not that year. Okay, so not when he was 21. So let's continue on to his fourth year. So fourth year, 22 finally. 82, played all the games, started one, minutes down. Attempts down, but his average is up. So he's starting to probably get a more appropriate role for his age, right? And you're going to see kind of the stats level up a little bit, but we'll see. Hold on. 3 point. So they're probably asking him not to take threes anymore, which is kind of sad because he looked like he was starting to really get somewhere with it, right? 2 pointers looks better. So they're probably focusing more in the post this year and just limiting the kind of profile. So they're now trying to limit because they've judged and they don't see, right? So they're trying to limit now, and that's how it kind of goes. And 1.5, okay, so the free throws like stabilizing at 7, I guess, for that year, right? Rebounds up the tick, still continuing to rebound, right? Assists 1-0, so probably not given enough touches, time, anything really, probably at this point, right? Asked to being still defending and still defending great, right? Turnovers, so obviously lesser. He's still in that kind of negative margin as a playmaker, which is kind of troubling. And I think that's probably where they soured the most, maybe, right? They want to see him as a scoring, playmaking guard who can defend and kind of be versatile, I guess. But I don't know. Who knows what they saw, right? So low amount of fouls again, right? And 12.7 points. So obviously his points are going down, minutes roll, everything. And they won more games, so maybe there was something to it, right? So 25 minutes, obviously a lesser playoff role. Oh, wow, more shots, but we're gonna see something here. Wow, no three balls. They're like, do not take any three balls in the playoffs, which is kind of sad considering his statistics the year before, but or the 2 years before, right? This is because they skipped a year. They didn't make it in 09, 010, right? So that's not good enough, man. He's getting pushed further out from the basket. Maybe he's being asked to do more mid-range stuff. See, like at first that looks like more of like a to the bucket guy. Now it's starting to look like he's more of like being asked shooting guard or missing a lot of his inside touches. So either or, but we can continue on, right? So, oh geez, Louise, oh my geez. He must have been hurt or something, or I don't know, but that's very troubling. Man, wow. That looks like a year from Fred Van Vliet that one year, right? Holy jeez. All right. Rebounds up. So, okay, maybe he's not hurt. I don't know. Maybe he had a hand thing. Hand thing, like shooting hand thing. Because his total rebounds look like he's battling hard in the paint and stuff, right? Assists lower, lower a chance, right? Probably less innovative opportunities. Steals down a little bit. Blocks still up. That's things aren't looking too well for my man Thad at the moment regarding his 22 year because I don't know, maybe he's transitioning to that man body and starting to learn that the techniques that he was learning for the first 3 years of how to guard aren't real guarding skills, right? For the type of body he was going to grow into and the actual real kind of style he needed to play. And that's where the problem is with upsizing your younger guys to face bigger talent. There are some pitfalls against developing out other parts of their games. As we talked about, OG was too forceful at the beginning because OG came in more like this and was using tons of force against the starters when he played as a rookie and thought that was the force you needed and started bowling people over and really like body checking him because he's an extremely strong man in his full man body, right? And too strong. And that wasn't the the type of stuff that OG needed to be learning. He needed to be learning maybe more on the bench with the appropriate scaled kind of competitors for his timeline, like lower quality vets and kind of up and coming journeyman kind of players and younger rookies, maybe high pick rookies, right? Some teams, depending on their strength, will play the rookies off the bench and not really start like a high pick, maybe, right? So let's continue on though, right? I think ultimately Thad in the Sixers was a travesty of his career in a sense of what he could have been. I think Masai and Bobby see it too a bit, where he could have been a lot more, given it the right opportunity and support at that time to really build out his game properly. And I think those problems have kind of made him more smart from learning from the mistakes and understanding who's good and who's not when teaching younger guys, and really want to right that wrong in his own career. And I think that really empowers him, but also pushes him to be an even better mentor, because maybe he was failed by Philly in these first couple years regarding role stability and role scaling up. And like I said, boxing style, give him the proper level up to get him fully worked out in the first couple of years, because now it's going to be an interesting journey, but we'll continue on here, right? So similar fouls, yes, body, right? 11.4. So let's go to the fifth year. So 63 games played, down from his normal, right? But he's starting to show that he's a decent like pro, will come to most games hurt, whatever, right? He's playing through it, right? Showing that kind of compete. Okay, the minutes similar, right? It's gonna start to robot. Most coaches robot roles, so like similar attempts, down, right? So obviously this wasn't a great year. He saw the writing on the wall kind of, and his first opportunity kind of slip out from under him, right? So 3-pointers, asked not to shoot threes, yeah. His 2-pointers down a bit more, similar attempts. Free throw went up. Okay. And total rebounds starting to stabilize a bit. But minutes, right? You always have to caliber minutes into everything, right? So we got 1.2 assists, 1 steal, 0.7 blocks. So defense still translating. And whoa, okay. First positive assist to turnover ratio. So obviously he saw in the playoffs that he wasn't good enough, because the years before he kind of stayed even, then boom, like crater off pretty much. So he went back in the summer and really worked on his playmaking, and now has a playmaking side to him because he's starting to convert in the positive direction, right? That's where you could see a trend going from negative to positive, right? Based on charting different stats throughout the year. So you can see starting now, he's starting to build up the IQ and knowledge in his fifth year of playing, how to pass and how to do different things. He's starting to build that IQ chest, right? The IQ passing chest. And that takes time with the passing, unless you're a truly gifted passer, which are like Scotty, but you still need time to shape the NBA passing game. It's different from all these other leagues. You can't lose possessions a lot of the time, which Fred VanVleet is good. It seems like he's holding the ball a lot because he's nodding off different passes that are kind of covered and won't pass it in to kind of turn it over, knowing if a guy's there covering lanes and stuff. So a guy might look open, but there might be a bandit Fred spots and he might not pass that way. So there's different things in the IQ of passing, when to pass and when not to pass. And I think he's starting to really learn that in his kind of like fifth year of playing this kind of like small guard kind of power forward position, right? Well, they say he's power forward, but Wow, man, like starting a guy like at that size of power forward, man, jeez, poor guy. A lot of his later injuries are obviously delving up to his young body getting smashed apart by men, right? So let's not take a lot of things too hard on him later on because Philly did him dirty. I'm sorry, but Philly did this man dirty. Let's continue because he's now a playmaker, right? A bit of one, right? It's not anything special at the moment, but it's starting to trend in the right direction. Solid defense still. So see, starting to get it, right? Similar points, similar shots. Yeah, yeah. All is expected in the sense of year 5. Let's go year 5 playoffs. And the last time he was in the playoffs for Philly, so this was the one where they actually went past the first round, right? And 13 games played. Okay. 21 minutes, so it wasn't getting a lot of minutes. So maybe a better team, but at that point, he was kind of getting timelined out, I think. Maybe they went for aged veterans, trying to build on what they had, trying to go for it, knowing the window was closing, right? So shot attempts down, yep, but field goal up because he's starting to learn the ways of the playoffs and kind of knowing that's where you get your true test. Not a single three shot this time. 2 pointers, less but higher clips. He's starting to really grow into his man body 5th year, so he's starting to be able to kind of use his body to increase his accuracy and not get bodied, right? So free throws up from last year. Okay, so now I think maybe he had a resurgence or kind of checking of the mind, knowing that, okay, I'm on the way out, but I'm going to show me, right? One of those kind of attitudes. So 5.2 rebounds, great considering the minutes he was playing before, and now he's getting more minutes. Maybe they're hard posting him a lot, but assists up from last year, okay. Steals down, so he's less perimeter, more post, okay. Turnovers, okay. Back to regular, so he did kind of make way in the sense of coming back to level, but during the regular season, we're obviously showing a positive trend. So that's going to continue to increase, I believe. And we'll see that trend because we can see now that he's such a great passer. But this is how it builds up. It's slowly built through time. It doesn't take one season to build a skill. It takes multiple seasons to build out a skill. And during those first 2, 3 seasons, like it's going to look bad at times, right? When they're trying to figure out the mechanics of everything, using that muscle memory, training their pressure mind to go to different movements automatically without thinking the game. That's what it's about, kind of relearning and retooling your body to react to certain situations automatically. And I think Pascal's kind of at that point where he says things are easy. That's what he means. Easy. I don't have to think about them anymore. I just do them because that's the way I've been doing them. And muscle memory kind of already has me doing that the correct form way because I've developed the great form, right? So this is all part of the development journey. And I think Philly obviously cut their losses. We're going to see, but this was probably him like the Kawhi FU to Spurs. This was his FU year, knowing what was coming, right? So let's continue on. 1.2 assists. So yeah, we talked about it. Okay, and fouling, yeah, less. He's not. I don't think he's being used properly as versatile on the perimeter and in the block a lot. I think they're just asking him to guard PF and that's it. That's all. Less points, less shots. Yeah. Book is closed on year 5. All right. So we're on to his final year in Philly, which is actually the first year of the process. 24-year-old Thad on the market now because they're looking to tank and go full process mode, right? So they traded away whoever was in front of him. He's getting all the starting minutes, all the minutes, and let's see how he does with them, right? Okay, so they upped his field goals back up to where they were when he was playing the same similar minutes. So let's see how it goes a couple years later back into this starter role, right? So up from last year, okay. Still not allowed to take threes. Travesty, right? 2-pointers, okay. So he's showing weight, like he's starting to grow into his man body, starting to increase the accuracy on his post play, right? Free throws down again, but okay. We can maybe think that he's with the added like arm strength and the muscle weight on the arms. There's different like weight mechanics and in the swinging of his shot arms. So it changes based on like how long your hands are, which obviously can't be changed, but then the weight of your hands, like how strong your muscles are and kind of the momentum of the ball and stuff. And Kawhi has such big arms and such big hands. He just flips his palm to kind of shoot the ball because if he used his full kind of range, it wouldn't be the same shot. It would be a different shot. It would be like less accurate, I believe, than obviously a guy that has a ridiculous true shooting percentage in the finals, as it is, right? So let's continue on, though, right? So rebound 7.5. So going man body minutes 2 though roll. He's probably getting a mainline role with them trying to tank, right? They think he's a tank commander in a sense, right? So 1.6 assists. So up roll minutes, yeah. Steals up. Nice. Okay, he's starting to come into his man body. He's starting to figure out the IQ bit of it. And still positive. Positive on the playmaking. So he's increasing the playmaking, but still in the positive trend of turnovers versus assists, right? See, we can see it starting to build, right? And personal fouls 2.5, but obviously more minutes, better defense statistics. So he's still showing great defender. Shots up, attempts up, but not hitting that three ball yet. So his numbers are going to look jacked in a sense. 14.8 for 34 minutes, which is not great, but I think defensively we're showing defense, a bit of playmaking. Masai must have peeped that three ball and knew he could have been like a three ball kind of guy, right? And this is actually would have been the summer. So 2013 was the summer when he traded Bargnani, which is interesting because Lowry was also on the table at that time too, right? He was kind of looking at different stuff and still trying to figure out who's the culture setters, but he'd been like watching Thad for a while and knew what kind of type of guy he was and knows he would have been perfect for our guard position at that time where we were kind of weak with, well, we had Amir Johnson, but he wasn't the defender Thad was. So obviously Masai's probably prizing him at this moment, seeing the kind of skills, and he's still young, 24. Like I said, Masai likes to pick up these guys and see what he can make them into, right? So let's continue on to the part where Philly got rid of him. He has an interesting trade history, and we're gonna start to look at that a little bit more.
4 or 5 years. Yeah, how long, man? Even since Philly, man. That's crazy. You good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Welcome, man.
Everything was smooth.
Everything was good?
Yeah, good. Smooth came in and handled all my paperwork and stuff.
Bringing in a player like Thaddeus Young, we wanted a veteran type player, a bird rights type player that came and bridged, helping our young guys both in the locker room and on the court. An athlete that can still play, still does the things that I think are very important to how we play and our organization. And the leadership of the court I think, is significant because Thaddeus brings so much energy, good spirit. I think he'll help the young players. I've known him for a long time, and I'm happy that we finally got him here. Looked at different scenarios, but you guys know I'm not too big on the trade deadline. To me, overall planning and how you build a team is done in the summer training camp, all the things you want to work in our way to build a team that's sustainable and that can win.
All right. So actually, this is getting a little bit long, and I wanted to kind of have it really maybe not as like a series cut up into 3 pieces, maybe go 4 if I have to, and just have it in smaller inviting sections and let people catch up maybe on the later work and kind of have time for a lot of the videos. So I'm gonna end it off with kind of where he went, and you could hear from where Masai in that clip where Masai said that ever since Philly, he's wanted Thad, and you can hear what he thinks of Thad. And I think the next years are really key to shaping that mentor locker room guy that he is and kind of expanding that out a bit. But we can see obviously that Philly was looking at a different type of trade at that point then and trying to piggyback that into another deal to get a pretty decent deal from what we can see. So we'll go through it quickly, right? As a part of a 3-team trade, traded by the 76ers to the Timberwolves. So Thad, went from the Sixers to the Timberwolves, right? And this is when August 20, 23, 2014 is before free agency. So bird rights type of player, a guy that kind of has been on his contracts that he's signed, right? That's the type of player Masai's talking about. He's a guy that kind of doesn't really cause a fuss and makes what he needs to do and does. And his contracts are his contracts. Like his word, he can be trusted and respected, right? So the Cavs traded Anthony Bennett, Andrew Wiggins, and a trade exception to the Minnesota Timberwolves. And this is pretty much the Kevin Love trade, pretty much, right? So the Cleveland Cavs traded a 2016 first round draft pick to the Sixers. So they added, so pretty much the Sixers added to the package for Love with Thad Young. So it was Thad Young, Anthony Bennett, and Andrew Wiggins for, let's see what else here. So Cavs gave up a first. What are they getting back in this? We'll see. So to Philly, so Philly got the pick, right? They're looking to process and start to collect those picks. And I don't think Masai was letting go of any of his picks. So I think they weren't in the market for what we were offering at that time. So obviously Thad to Toronto wasn't an option at that time. So Minnesota traded Kevin Love to the Cleveland Cavs. So the Cavs gave up a first, Anthony Bennett, and Andrew Wiggins for Love, and Philly got in compensation a first round pick, Luka Biomute, Alexei Shiviv or Shiv to the 76ers. So they got a pick and 2 other players for Thad Young going to the Wolves for the value of Kevin Love. So the Cavs traded a first for Thad to then trade him to the Wolves. And that's how his time in Philly ended, with this kind of monumental trade that kind of shaped the next couple of years in the East, which he'll come into battle with interesting later on, as you could see previewing the next one. But let's go housekeeping. Sorry about all the audio typos. like I'm gonna about to say, it's first time using this new audio equipment and this kind of system of recording, so I had a lot on my mind and kind of small details slip my mind when I'm explaining bigger points and monitoring a whole bunch of different things. Unfortunately, it was you like when I say guard, I mean forward. Sorry for that definite confusion and a couple times mislabeling stats, but I promise next part in the series, part two, will not have any of those. I know pre-recording what I need to focus on more and stuff with this new editing software. Love it. Great saving on time and stuff. So just really want to just thank everyone with sticking with me through this kind of growing development cycle of my creator journey, adapting to newer, more advanced editing stuff and trying to see if I can add a little bit more to things and make it more enjoyable for the real ones. All right, I want to first of all salute the real ones. Thank you for all the support, for all the comments, likes, the subs. Love the energy that I'm getting from the community and really great people also making great content. You should always check out Raptors Freak Lex. I'm in there pretty much every morning, 9:30 a.m. Eastern, kind of a family of Raptors people talking about real basketball and real takes and trying to suss through the kind of disinformation the kind of media from the States and kind of our own media likes to play up because they like to have stories that might get picked up by the American media. So they write in a similar tone, hoping that their story goes wide, right? And they get more exposure. So there are elements that do come into our own media circles. And I think Project Truth always needs to cut through all of that and just what is the grassroots fan opinion, no restraints, free to give your actual basketball IQ opinion. And that's what I think a bunch of us Raptors freaks, crew people are doing. I'll explain the end pictures here, but I wanted to share a big development. I have upgraded my clip collecting ability, a more sophisticated program, and also my editing software. So I'm going to try to improve the quality of my videos and look to focus on that instead of promotion or whatever. Because I think right now we got a great group of people that love the Raptors as much as I love the Raptors, and it can tell. And I just want to salute the real ones. Logical Raptors Fanatic out. Mike G. Mic drop.